name is Audj Spoon, and today I will be showing y'all my process for developing the World of Dustin. So I've made 2 videos for this. One of them is kind of my process of the visual development of the characters of Dustin and my past at that. And this is me kind of figuring out the world and environment that Dustin and his family would live in. Starting here, I wanted to kind of figure out, more experiment with kind of what their home would look like. They're bears, they obviously are going to live in a cave, so it's just really homey. I have like a bookshelf that I was trying to make look like a honey pot, and I have like little fish memorabilia here and there, but I also wanted it to still feel like kind of just a normal home. So you have kind of like the husband and wife chairs and their little reading light, and then like a desk that maybe Dustin would write his comedy routines at. And I thought it would just also be a really silly idea if like they didn't have rooms, they just all like slept in the middle of the floor like in an actual bear cave, but then they still have just normal kitchens and bathrooms. That's basically it. And also like fun, more natural lighting is what I wanted to gear towards with the show. I really wanted to focus on like open environments, big open environments. They're in the middle of the forest, and that's more fun to me to kind of visualize. But yeah, that's the finished piece of first pass at their house, and that kind of led into me needing to like, okay, what's going to be the forests that are surrounding them. So I did some research on like some Northern American trees, kind of leading into Canada. I thought that would be like a fun environment to set the story in. And then also dealing with like colors. I kind of was inspired by like Fantastic Mr. Fox and doing like all autumnal colors and setting this story in the fall. When I was pitched the story of Dustin, it was told to me kind of like he was trying to find ways to support his family. He needs to get nuts and berries. And I was like, okay, well, why does he need nuts and berries? Maybe it's about to be wintertime. And so maybe the story is set in like late summer throughout the fall season. And it would also just be really fun to draw a bunch of fall leaves, oranges and golden. So going off of like doing research for where this would be located, and I also was thinking, okay, well, what are other places that Dustin is going to be? Well, obviously a comedy club. He's a comedian, he does stand-up. Need to figure out environment. I was inspired by Chloe Arvin did a couple of concept pieces where the stage that Dustin would perform on was kind of made by trees. And I was really inspired by that, and I was like, well, what if the entire stage was just inside of a tree? And so I did some research on giant sequoias, and we've all seen the pictures of just like these huge holes that people can just drive through. And I was like, perfect, this is great. And I loved the shape and texture of these trees. It was a lot of straight lines and very flowing, and bumpier at the base of it, which is great structurally for putting like things into it, like stages or back rooms, maybe like a restaurant or a bar like we see off to the side here. I just was very, very excited to work on this, and I'm really happy with how this piece turned out, focusing more on kind of warmer colors in the forefront, and then pushing out cooler colors in the background to make it feel kind of night but still lit and bright. I was having a lot of fun with all the seating here, like different tree shapes and tree like benches and stumps for people to sit on, and then even the tables were fun to kind of visualize, them being just kind of like ripped up bark. I don't know, it was so funny to me imagining like someone making these chairs and tables. And then with the bar, obviously gotta put little mushrooms and bar stools and fun mirrors and always a disco ball. I feel like that's a horrible pattern. But this open scenery is, like I was saying before, I really wanted to have fun with more open layouts. It still feels like it's outside even though you're inside of a certain place. And all of the elements in here are greatly inspired by places that I've been to here in Nashville. Just really, really fun environments where people can meet and hang out. A good place that a lot of people can come together at and have a good time, but it still feels like small and secluded and kind of away from the big city. Yeah, I'm really, really happy with how this piece turned out, and if it does turn into something more, that would be really, really fun. But like I was saying earlier, I was pitched that like we would have buildings and trees, and I was like, okay, well, what if it was set in the city? And you can see here I took like a silhouette of the Memphis Skyline. That's where I'm from. And I wanted to kind of base the city layout off of Memphis. And I think I was having a really, really hard time conceptualizing what skyscrapers would be like in trees, because trees are never that big. So it was interesting to figure out what that possibly could look like. Still keeping like the flow of what a tree is. It's not just straight up and down. There's a lot of tiny branches. There's different ways that you could fit rooms or floors into a trunk. Like, I don't even know how that would physically work without the structural integrity of the tree just crumbling. Here I was really inspired. I did some studies of, I hope I'm pronouncing this name right, I'm horrible at pronouncing names, but Irvine Earl, specifically all of his art for like Open Season. Really, really just beautiful, intelligent, just incredible art, and I wanted to kind of practice that in this piece with the shape language of the trees, the different textures that he used to just illustrate like leaves. It was just really, really inspiring, and so I tried to pull that into this piece. So here you can see that using a black and white color layer really, really helped me a lot. I've discovered that that's just a really amazing tool to use, especially when doing more like bigger pieces that have a lot of different shapes that are not really different. They're very, very similar shapes and a lot of different variants of color. This isn't a great example of that, but I've noticed that using a grayscale layer on top of it, just to make sure that all of your shapes are still reading, especially the important ones, like the giant trees that I have as the skyscrapers, and that the smaller trees are not obstructing from the shapes, and that the background elements are also still viewable against the background. Making sure that works is something I don't do very often, but when I do, I'm like, yes, perfect. And then my favorite part of any piece really is doing like windows. All of the just strenuous stuff that everyone complains about, I absolutely love to draw in pieces. So doing just a bunch of tiny windows is always just really, really fun to me. If I could just do that for the rest of my life, like if that was a job description as an artist, to just like, go in here and make a bunch of windows, I would love that job. It would be interesting if this was the direction that we wanted to go with the dust environments, but it may not. It may. That's a really fun part about a visual development, is that a lot of these pieces are just figuring out where we want to go, but doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be used or that it is going to lead to, anything more, but it could. So thank y'all so much for watching this video. Go check out the other videos on the Pencilish channel, and I will see y'all later. Bye!
If you like what you just saw, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, Pencilish Studios.